Hi, fourth graders. It's Miss Reed from Citizenship Academy in Syracuse. Today we are completing Personal Narratives Unit 1, Lesson 6. Our objectives today: describe character traits and support descriptions with quotes from the text. Identify nouns. Begin to write your personal narrative. So, nouns review from a long time, right? You've probably been doing this since you were in first grade. A noun is a person, place, thing, or idea. Today we won't really talk about the ideas, but we'll talk about people, places, and things. Tomorrow we'll talk about more about the ideas. So these are nouns because they're people: Jennifer, boy, student, teacher, waitress, and grandma. I'm sure you could think of hundreds more to add to this list. These are nouns because they're places: Florida, store, McDonald's, school, park, and bedroom. So see if you could think of some more of your own. I'm sure you could think of plenty. And these words are nouns because they're things. They're actually things that you could reach out and touch. So cat, cereal, pencil, Sharpie, computer, and shoe. I'm sure you could add more to the list. And again, we'll talk about ideas tomorrow, but those are basically things that you can't actually touch. So again, we'll talk about those later. Nouns. Every sentence must have at least one noun. So this sentence in this case has two. You can see they're written in green. My dog likes to chew on his bone. If a sentence doesn't have a noun, it's not a complete sentence because every sentence has a who or what that is actually doing something, right? Okay, so Miss K is going to pop on, and she is going to go over this vocabulary in this new text that you're going to read today. And she's going to go over, she's going to read this story with you from this text today. So I will pop on when she is done, and I will see you in a bit.
This is lesson 6 of our personal narratives unit. And here is our vocab for today. So pores, that's a noun, and those are small openings. We have them in our face, so tiny little holes. It doesn't have to be the pores in your face though, any small opening. Scored is a verb, and that is to cut a line on the surface, often in preparation of cutting through. So if you're going to make a mark where you're going to cut, that's called scoring. Forget-me-nots, those are small blue flowers, so that's a noun. Plow is a verb, and it means to break up earth in preparation for planting. So before you plant seeds, you have to kind of break up the soil. To plunge is to jump or dive energetically. Striding is walking with long steps. Chuckled is to laugh quietly. And lugged is carry around with great effort. So you're carrying something heavy, you're lugging it around. Okay.
You guys don't have to worry about this. We're not going to do this. But you can pay attention to what she's doing because we've learned about this.
For review today, number 1, blank is the attribute of a person shown through what he or she says, thinks, feels, and does. So is that an opinion, personification, a character trait, or a part of speech? Number 2, which is an example of cause and effect. So read each of those. Which one is showing you why something happened and what happened because of that? And we are going to read an excerpt from a book called A Girl from Yamhill, and this is by Beverly Cleary, and this section is called The Farm. Beverly Cleary is the award-winning author of more than 20 books for children, including the Ramona books. This passage is from her memoir, A Girl from Yamhill, in which she tells the true story of her childhood. She was born on a farm in rural Yamhill, Oregon, in 1916 and lived there until she began school. In this excerpt, she is a young girl and lives with her mother and father on the farm. At Christmas, I was given an orange, a rare treat from the far-off land of California. I sniffed my orange, admired its color and its tiny pores, and placed it beside my...
She always freezes at this point. Promise you. me pause her.
Father picked up my orange. Did you know that the world is round like an orange? He asked. No, I did not. It is, said Father. If you started here, pointing to the top of the orange, and traveled in a straight line, demonstrating with his finger, you would travel back to where you started. Oh, my father scored my orange. I peeled and thoughtfully ate. So there's a picture of him showing her, you start here, you go all the way around, and you're back where you started. It's the farm. You can see there's some type of footsteps going on here. I thought about that orange until spring, when wild forget-me-not suddenly bloomed in one corner of our big field. The time had come. I crossed the barnyard, climbed a gate, walked down the hill, climbed another gate, and started off across the field, which was still too wet to plow. Mud clung to my shoes. I plodded on and on, with my feet growing heavier with each step. I came to the fence that marked the boundary of our land and bravely prepared to climb it and plunge into foreign bushes. My journey was interrupted by a shout. Father came striding across the field in his rubber boots. Just where in Sam Hill do you think you're going? He demanded. Around the world, like you said. Father chuckled and, carrying me under his arm, lugged me back to the house, where he set me on the back porch and explained the size of the world. Mother looked at my shoes, now gobs of mud, and sighed. Beverly, what will you think of next? She asked. There's her boots. All right, so these questions are related to the passage, so be sure to go back and find the answer. Number 3, in this passage, the narrator tries to walk around the world. What is the cause of this? She wants to experience Christmas in other parts of the world. She hates living on a farm. She reads about different cities around the world. Her father told her the story about the orange. All right, so this is a little visual that's going to help you answer number 4. And these are some examples of dialogue in the farm. And remember, dialogue is when a character is speaking in a story, and we know that it's dialogue because of those quotation marks on the.
Now that Miss K read you that story, we are going to look at this chart real quick for the character traits, right? So characters in the story, father, mother, and the narrator, we know her name is Beverly now from the fact that that's the author's name. So character traits are descriptions. So father. In the story, the father tells the daughter the story about the orange and how it matches the world and how you could travel around the orange, you could travel around the world. So at the end of the story, though, he's like, what are you doing? Like, she's walking all over the field. And she says, I'm trying to walk around the world. And he actually laughs and he thinks she's funny. So I would describe, because of the way that he reacts to her when she's like, I'm going to go walk around the world, like you said, I would describe him as humorous. Because he doesn't get upset when she says, this is going to look crazy when I type this on the chart. He doesn't get upset when she says she's trying to walk around the world. He laughs, right? So he thinks it's funny. Even though obviously the mother, right? She seems like she's a little frustrated. She's like, ugh, like, what are you going to do next, right? She says, like, you always do this, like you're always thinking of crazy stuff. What are you going to do next? So I would say the mom is kind of maybe more serious. She's like not as like, she doesn't think things are as funny. She's serious. Maybe she's like more strict because I don't know if you could tell she's strict from that, but she is just like she's just frustrated or annoyed with the like kind of the goofy things that Beverly does, right? And then Beverly, the narrator, I would say from what she does in the text, so she learns about the orange, she listens to her dad's story. I would say she's curious, like inquisitive. So she really wonders, like she wants to like know things, she wants to experience new things. So because of the story her dad tells her, since her dad tells her that story, she decides to like see for herself. can I really walk around the world? And she tries to do it. So I would say she's curious, she's inquisitive, maybe like even a little bit of adventurous. Those are all things that I would use to describe her. So the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to write out your food narrative. Now, you're going to have to use what you did yesterday in Seesaw. It should look like this. You used your brainstorm food idea to break these events down in the order that they happen from the food memory. So you're going to have to look back at this list and use those events in order to be able to write your food narrative. So what you're going to do is you're going to use that events list to help you write 2 paragraphs. So I actually wrote out exactly how you need to write these paragraphs on this screen. So you can look at this screen. It's also written in your Seesaw activity. So paragraph 1, sentence 1, topic sentence to introduce your food memory. What is your food memory? Tell us that in your first sentence. Sentence 2, events and details leading up to the main event. So think about what was the big major event in your food memory. What led to that? What is like the background information your reader needs to know? Paragraph 2, sentence 1, main event of the story. What is like the big thing that happened? Like if you could not leave this event out if you were telling the food memory, like it's the biggest thing that happened. So the main event of your story. Sentence 2, the final events and details, kind of like wrap up what happened, just wrap up what happened after the big event of the story. And then sentence 3, concluding sentence, tell why you remember. Like I'll always remember this because when I went to the restaurant, I threw up. Like I hope you didn't, but that's something that you would remember, right? So when you go into Seesaw, this is going to look a little bit different on yours, but this is what you'll see. You'll have this lesson on here. What you're going to do for work is you are going to read each of these sentences and you're going to circle or highlight every noun in the sentences below. Now, you will not circle or highlight or underline any pronouns. So I, we, me, she, it, they, you. Those are pronouns. You're not going to underline those. We're going to learn about pronouns later down the road. Hopefully also will be a review for you. But do not underline or circle those. If you do, it's not the end of the world, but I will just let you know. Then you are going to write your paragraph, or you can record yourself if you need to, if your thing is not working, on this page. So this tells you the exact same thing as it did on here. It tells you what should go in sentence 1, sentence 2 of the first paragraph, and sentence 1, 2, and 3 of the second paragraph. You're going to do that on this page. You need to do both pages in order to earn credit. And then lastly, here's your check for understanding. How can you tell when characters are talking in a text? Ms. K talked about that. You could see quotation marks around what they say. That's called dialogue. And what is a noun? Come up with some examples of nouns. So write out your personal narrative into the paragraphs. I will see you soon.